Khamzat Chimaev may very well be the future of MMA. The Russian-born Swedish fighter found success early in freestyle wrestling, and those skills transitioned well once he entered MMA. But the hype surrounding him really blew up once he entered the UFC, because in his first 3 fights with the promotion, he truly looked unstoppable. So much so that many already believe that he will become a UFC champion one day. And although his success was expected to continue in 2021, he faced a lot of adversity after testing positive for COVID-19, which not only led to fights being cancelled, but also the potential of an early retirement as he developed lung complications from the virus. So how good is Khamzat Chimaev actually? Hey guys, it's Kiiyon, and today I'm going to be talking about Khamzat Chimaev. He is possibly the most exciting up-and-coming fighter in MMA right now, and with very good reason, because in the UFC he has barely shown any weakness. And although 2020 was a huge year for him, he has yet to do anything in 2021, but he did say that he will be coming back. And now I'm thinking how he's going to look after all the health issues he faced. Will he continue to find success, or will this be a turning point in his career? I also want to take a look at all his fights before the UFC, so then we could see if there are any holes in his game that top fighters can expose him on. But first, I just want to ask those who aren't subscribed to my channel to please do so. I went into my analytics the other day and I was shocked to see that 90% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So please just take a second to click that button and also click the bell for notifications on new videos. Also, shout out to the undisputed members of my Patreon. They get the extra perk of a shout out before each video, but even the intro members get early access and video to the Kiiyon podcast. And as always, the money goes to charity. Once again, we donated this month's earnings to the Ronald McDonald House charity in Toronto, which provides a home for seriously ill children and their families. So thank you to the undisputed and intro members for all your support. And if you want to donate, all the info will be down below. Now let's get to it. Khamzat began his MMA career on September 10th, 2017 at the age of 23. Prior to his debut, he was regarded as one of the best freestyle wrestlers in Sweden. He transitioned into MMA as an amateur before going pro. In his first fight, he fought Khalid Lalam. Khamzat secured a takedown right away, and although he wasn't throwing many shots, he was doing well in maintaining top control. He tried to get a hold of Khalid's back, but this led to the two standing up. Khamzat connected with a knee in the clinch before securing another takedown. Khalid did well from the bottom, and eventually he got back up and almost brought the fight down as well, but Khamzat was able to deny it. This led to another takedown, but he wasn't able to hold Khalid down this time. Khamzat ate a huge knee to the body, and after catching his breath, he brought the action down yet again. The two opened up the second round by trading some kicks, but then Khalid got dropped by a 1-2 combo. Khamzat rushed in and began throwing some shots. He got a hold of Khalid's back and tried to lock up a choke. And even though Khalid managed to get back up, he went back down once more. But after minimal action on the ground, the ref stood the fight back up. Khalid shot for a takedown, but that easily got denied. This gave Khamzat the opportunity to lock up a Darce choke. And although Khalid tried to fight it off, it eventually forced him to tap. After winning 2 more amateur fights, Khamzat turned pro on May 26, 2018. His first opponent was Gardolf Sagan. Khamzat displayed his striking by connecting with kicks, knees, and punches. This included a left hand that dropped Sagan. Khamzat rushed in and threw ground and pound before the ref stepped in. 3 months later, he went up to middleweight and fought Ol Magnor. Khamzat rushed in and secured a takedown immediately. And although Ol tried to get a hold of his leg, he let it go after eating some punches. This led to a rear naked choke attempt from Khamzat, but Ol defended well and ate some punches before getting up. Khamzat tried to bring the fight down again, and although Ol defended it initially, he eventually ended up on his back. This led to him getting mounted. Khamzat tried to lock up another rear naked choke, and once that didn't work, he threw some big shots from above. Ol was on defense mode, but managed to get back up after escaping another rear naked choke attempt. But Khamzat brought him down right away and continued to connect with ground and pound. Ol managed to punch Khamzat's mouthpiece out of his mouth for a moment, but Khamzat put it back in and proceeded to lock up a tight rear naked choke. And this time, Ol went to sleep. 3 months later, Khamzat moved down to welterweight and made his debut with Brave Combat Federation. His first opponent with the new promotion was Marko Kisic. The two traded shots right away, but it was Khamzat who was pressing forward more. This led to a right hand that dropped Marko. Khamzat decided to let him back up before dropping him again with a flying knee. He let Marko back up once again, and although Marko threw some kicks, he was getting tagged by Khamzat's right hand and got dropped again because of it. Marko got back up to his feet, but once he got pressed up against the cage, he got taken down. This led to top control from Khamzat, and he also locked up a mounted crucifix for a moment. But Marko bought some time by attempting an armbar. Khamzat escaped and brought the action back up. The two traded shots before Marko got dropped by a right hand. Khamzat got on top and began throwing some big punches from above. Eventually, Marko got mounted. Khamzat locked up an Americana for a moment before throwing more ground and pound that forced the ref to step in. Following this win, Khamzat fought Sidney Wheeler at middleweight. Khamzat secured a takedown immediately. This led to ground and pound that forced referee Mark Goddard to step in. The fight lasted 35 seconds. 4 months later, he fought Ikram Aliskerov. Khamzat pressed forward immediately. This led to a left hand that dropped Ikram, but he got back up and did well in denying Khamzat's takedowns. The two continued to trade on the feet and both men found success, but Khamzat connected with a beautiful uppercut that knocked him out cold. 5.5 months later, he fought Mizwandile Halongwa. Khamzat opened up the fight with a kick to the body before securing a takedown. This led to ground and pound, and although Mizwandile got back up for a moment, he got taken down once again. Khamzat maintained top control by throwing more shots and attempting a triangle choke. Round 1 was an absolute mauling, and that continued early into the second as Khamzat brought the fight down immediately. Mizwandile tried to escape, but this led to him getting caught in a Darce choke. He tried to get out, but eventually he went to sleep. This 6-0 record led to the UFC signing Khamzat, so he made his debut on July 16, 2020 at middleweight. His opponent was John Phillips. Khamzat ate a right hand before bringing the fight down. John spent the entire round eating shots from above. He was unable to do anything, and this mauling continued into round 2 before Khamzat secured a Darce choke that forced a tap. 10 days after this win, he fought Rhys McKee, making it the quickest turnaround between fights in the modern era of the UFC. And to make things even more difficult, Khamzat had to cut down to welterweight. But he still looked amazing in this fight as he took Rhys down immediately and threw ground and pound. This eventually forced the referee to step in. 2 months later, Khamzat moved back up to middleweight and fought Gerald Meerschaert. It took Khamzat 17 seconds to connect with a right hand that knocked Gerald out, making this 3-fight win streak the quickest in modern UFC history. The hype around Khamzat after this win reached new levels as it showed that he wasn't only dangerous on the ground. And the momentum seemed like it was going to get even bigger as the UFC was willing to throw him into the deep end in a fight against top 5 welterweight Leon Edwards. But this was a fight that got postponed multiple times as both men caught the COVID-19 virus. And it really affected Khamzat as it caused him to suffer from lung complications. So much so that on March 1st, 2021, he announced that he would be retiring from MMA. But that retirement was short-lived as he is feeling better now and wants to compete once again. And I'm happy to hear that because it would have been devastating if the sport lost him so early into his career. So after going 9-0 in a career where he has finished all of his opponents and has everyone in the MMA world watching, how good is Khamzat Chimaev actually? There is a reason why he has so much hype behind him after only 3 fights in the UFC. Yes, his competition with the promotion hasn't been the greatest, but the way he dominated in these fights is why everyone is so excited. He has only been hit once so far in his UFC career. That is an absolutely crazy stat, and this shows that he hardly takes any damage in his fights. Even before the UFC, he never seemed to be in any trouble, which is great for his career as a whole as he is still very young and can go much longer compared to other fighters. So how is he able to evade damage easily? Well, the biggest thing is definitely his wrestling. He can bring the fight down easily and hold his opponents there for as long as he wants. And even if they do get back up, it usually won't be for long. While on the ground, he throws some brutal shots from above. So much so that he can finish the fight. But even if his opponent survives the ground and pound, they're still at risk in being submitted. And it's very easy for Khamzat to lock up these submissions. His mauling style of fighting is very similar to Khabib Nurmagomedov's. And honestly, Khabib's influence as a fighter is a huge reason for Khamzat's popularity right now. Especially after his retirement because many fans of his were looking for his second coming. A fighter who absolutely dominates everyone without getting hurt. And that's really what Khamzat embodies right now. But what's exciting about him is that he's much more than just a strong wrestler. His striking is very impressive and I can see it only getting better. The way he presses forward doesn't give his opponents any time to think. It seems like he may shoot for the takedown and once that gets in their minds, he throws hard shots instead. And I think that lack of anticipation is why Khamzat's striking can easily end a fight. He truly puts fear into the minds of his opponents. And the more he develops in this area of his game, the more dangerous he will become. That is a very terrifying thought for a man who is already very terrifying. And on top of all of this, he is surprisingly very good in trash talking. He doesn't say much, but when he does, it's usually the right thing. He calls out everyone and with confidence, he tells them that he will beat them. And I'm sure this excites many people because with how good Khamzat has looked so far, they will most likely believe him. And that's what makes trash talk so good, when the person can back it up with ease. As a fighter both inside and outside of the cage, he is doing everything right. And at the time of making this video, he's only 27 years old. But I must admit, the issues he faced after catching COVID definitely worries me, cause it led to lung complications and that's very serious. Especially for a fighter like Khamzat who relies on his stamina to keep up with the mauling he does. Take former UFC bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt as an example. He too caught COVID-19 and because of it, he suffered from thrombosis, brain fog, and pneumonia. And after being out for a year, he came back against Rob Font and truly didn't look like his old self. This is a guy who outpaced Dominic Cruz, who was one of the most difficult fighters to keep up with. But against Rob Font, Cody was looking slow with his attacks, and as the fight went on, his stamina began to noticeably decrease. decrease. He was, in my opinion, the first example of how COVID-19 can affect fighters for the worse. And with Khamzat having gone through a similar situation, we can only hope that it doesn't negatively impact him. But if he does come back and looks the same as before, I believe that he will be a huge problem for both 170 and 185, especially at middleweight where there really isn't that many elite level wrestlers. But I would be interested to see how well he would do against fighters like Kamaru Usman and Kobe Covington, who are both very strong in wrestling. Regardless, this is a man who has the potential to not only win a UFC belt, but also become a double champion. And I feel crazy for saying that so early into his career, but Khamzat Chimaev is someone who is taking the game to another level. My name is Kiiyon, and this is my take on Khamzat Chimaev. Do you agree, disagree, or have something else to add? Please put in the comments down below, cause I love to read it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. But that's all out for now, so I'll see you on my next one.